definitely 50 years ago. Every time I hear 50, 60 years ago, I always go back to Emmett Till. This would be the 60th one anniversary of his death. And I go back to those times, during the civil rights and stuff, and how, police would hose down people who were protesting, put dogs on them, get really violent and whatnot, just throw them in jail left and right. In times of, Gandhi and his people protests, but let's talk U.S. Definitely things have gone for the better, but things still need to be done. But definitely there's vast improvement. There's still, I still think there's profiling that people need to talk about. There needs to be more training on diversity and understanding people. But we definitely stepped in the right direction. But unfortunately, like the past events, the young child in Cleveland, Trayvon Martin, and Michael Brown, those incidents, still show that things need to be done. And I always think of it, if Martin Luther King was around now, what would he think? And that's kind of where I come in. I think he again, there's still work to be done, but we've done a lot better than what we did in the 1960s. But there still needs to be more understanding. And thankfully there's no more rule that you have to be 6 foot and read and write English. So, hey, more stuff's going forward. But yeah, I'm happy to see the change. And I've personally, unfortunately, been profiled, I feel. Like I just told you, the cop the police officer that pulled me over for my expired registration. But again, I was respectful. I understood. I didn't give him a hard time. I didn't even get to say. He actually asked me what I was doing, and what I told him I was doing stuff for NWSP, Green Dream and stuff. He actually seemed really interested. It was a cool 6-minute conversation. And my thing is would we have had that civil conversation 20 years ago, 10 years ago? I don't know if he saw 2 minorities, because my legal name is Jorge Von Gomez. You see that on my ID, so it's 100% Latino and a little bit of Chinese. And then my minority friend, and I'm hey, my friend's yo, dude, you throw this out, or I threw this out. I'm if we were if you were disrespectful a couple of years ago, it might have gone differently. I'm you know what, you're right. So step forward, right direction, and let's keep the good work going.
Great. So this is one that very interesting. What makes these cases so special? Or, the cases being, like you said, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, that have put so many people in the streets protesting, and frankly put us here today in front of you. What makes these cases so special? I mean, haven't things like this been happening for years?
Well, I think it's because the overall perception is that nothing has changed as the years have gone by. And just to go back, it goes back to perception. And there were 2 things that we were talking about during the last few questions. And we talked about